So first thing, this seems really, really obvious, but it's important to mention. When you've been in a crash, stay calm and stay at the scene. It'll surprise you how many people, they get in crashes and they get afraid, they get scared, they panic, and they leave the scene. They don't talk to anybody, they don't check on anybody, make sure anybody's okay. They just drive away. That happens a lot more than you'd think, and that's a big problem for a ton of reasons. First of all, just make sure people there are okay. Like, someone might actually be hurt and need some medical attention. And so sticking around and making sure, like, hey, they get checked out and they're good to go, that's important. Because if you leave the scene and this person needs medical attention, can't call for help on their own, you've created a much worse situation than you started with the crash. And so stay calm, stay at the scene. Also, there's a lot of things that can float. Number two, you're gonna wanna exchange information. Get the other person's information, give them yours. It's really, really important. This happens more often than not. People, they panic, they don't think about it, and what they do is they just go ahead and they take some pictures of the other person's license plate, don't get their name, don't get who they are, and they leave. Here's why that's a problem. Let's just say, for some reason, you're not able to negotiate with the insurance company, you have to file a lawsuit. You might not necessarily be suing the vehicle owner. You're gonna have to prove who was driving, right? And if you don't get their name, verify it with their driver's license, you're gonna have a tough time. You're gonna have to track this down. The vehicle owner might not be helpful for you, or they might not even know, right? What if the car was stolen? You need to figure out who was driving it. And so always exchange information, get pictures of the person's driver's license. We all have cell phones nowadays. Just take a second, get their driver's license, take a picture, you're good to go, right? So get that information, get their insurance information, right? And when you look at their insurance information, check the date that the insurance is valid through. If it's not valid during the period of the crash, ask them for a different copy of their insurance, right? And if that's all they have, take a picture of it. But you want to ask the person, hey, this isn't valid. I've taken a picture of it. I would like your up-to-date insurance, because it might be a different company, right? So that's really good information to get up front. And then obviously get information about the vehicle. It's always good to take a picture of the license plate so you know, hey, this is the vehicle that hit me, right? Got the license plate, you're good to go on that front. Call the police. Now, a lot of people call the police, and just the way things are these days, getting the police to come out to your crash can sometimes be difficult. They'll say, hey, are the vehicles drivable? And they'll encourage you just to exchange information and go about your day. But that's what the police are there for, right? You want to call them, get them out there, have them take statements, do their investigation, and particularly if your vehicle's disabled, they'll help you get a tow truck. If you need medical attention, they'll call an ambulance. And so getting the police out there is a really, really good first step to getting things taken care of in the right way. The police can help facilitate that as well. And so getting that exchange of information is really, really important. Also, the police officer will typically do at least a preliminary investigation and get some information and get it on paper. So it's not a he said, she said as far as who's at fault. They'll look at it and say, hey, driver A is at fault or driver B is at fault. And so this is really, really helppful whenever you deal with the insurance companies. I hear this all the time. People are always worried about their insurance premiums and how much they cost. And they've gone up last year across the board about 25% for people living in the state of Washington. And so if you're at all concerned about your premiums, call the police, because what they'll do is document it. And if on the traffic collision report you're not at fault, that'll show in your driver's record with the Department of Licensing. So this is something that's really, really important to do. Call the police. They'll help document all this. They'll help you on the back end. They'll help you on the front end. Frankly, it's just never a bad idea to give them a call. Take pictures. We talked about the exchange of information, but it's important to take pictures of as much as you can. Some people will just take pictures of their own vehicle and call it a day. That doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're going to want pictures of the other vehicle. The crash involves 2 cars, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. So you're going to want pictures of all the vehicles, because sometimes pictures aren't going to come out as good from a particular angle. So get it from a variety of angles. With cameras nowadays on the phones, really, you can take 1,000 pictures. It's not going to be an issue. So just take a bunch. Even if it seems redundant, just keep taking pictures. You should walk away from the event with 40, 50 pictures, right? Because there's no film you have to develop. If you have any cuts, scrapes, bruises, take pictures of that. Take pictures of ID cards, insurance, all that good stuff. Take pictures of everything. If you have a question of whether you've taken enough pictures, the answer is no. Take more pictures. Witness info. Sometimes there's people there that saw the crash. Get their information, name, phone number. Like, at a minimum, that is incredibly helpful because you can at least call the person and follow up with them. If you called the police, like I told you, they'll get that information for you. But if for whatever reason the police are slow getting out there, or they're saying they're not going to come out, talk to the witnesses, get their names, phone numbers. If people don't want to talk, take a picture of the license plate, you can track them down. You just want to get these people's information because these witnesses can be critical on the back end if for whatever reason someone who caused the crash decides they don't want to take responsibility. That can be a difference maker in a lot of cases. Contact your insurance company. Now, I talked about premiums before, and it's really important to them how much they pay in insurance premiums and what the cost of them. I get it. A lot of people think if they don't report the incident to the insurance company, it'll save them on their premiums. And what I always tell people is, one, so long as you're not at fault, according to the Washington statutes, they cannot raise your rates because you reported the collision. Two, under your contracted insurance with your insurance company, and like I said in other videos about collision coverage and getting your car repaired through your own insurance company, you're going to want to do it anyways because that's going to be your best path to getting your car repaired, or if it's total loss, getting your total loss paid for. As I talked about with number 6 in filing the claim with the insurance company, you can file a claim with the third-party insurance company, but do not ever. Basically, it's the old adage, anything you say can and will be used against you. What that comes from is an evidence rule. It's a hearsay evidence rule. It cannot be used as evidence to support your claim if this case goes to trial. It can only be used against you. Statements against you are not hearsay. They're admissions of a party opponent. So if you get on a recorded statement and say some things that hurt your case, it's no longer hearsay. They can actually use that as evidence against you. Everything you say to support your case is hearsay and can be excluded by the court. And so that recorded statement to the third-party insurance company, the other driver's insurance company, never provide it. It's not going to help you. If you hire an attorney, and is that one of my things here? If you're hurt, go see a doctor. If you have a primary care physician, go under your primary care physician. If you don't, find someone close to you, convenient to you, go in, get checked out if you're hurt, because these things can kind of fester and become big, big issues. Oftentimes you'll hear folks talk about, well, it's just a soft tissue injury. That's still an injury, and the way they kind of wave it off is problematic because I think the stat was about 75% of folks who still have symptoms from a soft tissue injury, which isn't supposed to be that bad, you still have symptoms 12 months after the incident. You have a 75% chance of just having a chronic issue for the rest of your life. And that soft tissue injury can be a nagging shoulder or back issue that you deal with for decades. And so I will tell you, always get it checked out, because the worst thing they're going to tell you is you're all good. You're not hurt. Get out of here, right? And if you get that, great. I think a lot of people get afraid that they're going to get told news that is going to be inconvenient. And that inconvenient news is they're dealing with an issue that's going to require medical treatment. You're going to need to go to physical therapy or a massage therapist, or maybe even need interventional pain management. People are afraid of that. And I get why, because one, they're worried about the cost. Two, it takes up time. And then, some of these treatments get really invasive. If you need certain injections to deal with a spinal injury, those needles are big. I've seen them, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't be first in line to get that done. I'll put it that way. But people are sometimes afraid to go into the doctor because they're afraid of what they might get told. It's really, really important. One, just from a medical perspective, you got to get better. You get one body, and that's it. That's the only body you get for the rest of your life, unless, some tech company invents a way to give you a second one. And so you got to take care of it. And, when you're 20, you can bounce back from these injuries pretty easily. Now, in some cases, some folks not so much, but it's a lot easier at 20 than at 40. And it's a lot easier at 40 than at 50. And frankly, at 60, bounce back is a whole other thing. So you want to make sure you address these things, because most folks, that take care of themselves, they got a long, long life ahead of them. And you want to make sure that there's quality of life there. And if you don't get these things addressed, they fester, they can become bigger problems, and it's going to impact your quality of life. So go to the doctor and get looked at. Follow your doctor's orders. The doctor says go do physical therapy. Yeah, physical therapy, it's not fun. They say go do massage therapy. A lot of people think these medical massages, you're going in there, it's like a spa, you're relaxing, you're just enjoying yourself. No, these things are the opposite. They're painful. They are painful massages, and a lot of people don't want to do them. They'll do them once or twice, and they're like, no, I'm not signing up for this anymore. But if the doctor is telling you you need these things, there's a reason behind it. It's because these things can provide you with comfort, pain relief. Depending on the issue, they might even be helpful in just, I don't want to use the word cure, but fixing the issue, right? If you got a muscle issue and they're just massaging that thing to get that thing fixed and worked out, get it done. It'll help you out. And in fact, you have a legal duty to do so. There's a defense, it's called a failure to mitigate. And so if the doctor tells you, hey, go get this treatment, and you don't do it, the defense can now argue, well, you didn't do this treatment, we shouldn't have to pay for X, Y, and Z. Or we shouldn't be responsible for this damage because you didn't go do what the doctor said you needed to do. And if you'd done it, you wouldn't be in this situation. And so if the doctor tells you to do something, go do it. Or if you're concerned about the advice, go get a second opinion, right? The option shouldn't be, hey, the doctor told me I need to go do this, I'm just going to override and do what I want, right? That doesn't make any sense. And so follow the doctor's orders. And number 10, get legal advice right away. And here's why I say this. Most attorneys who do this type of work, they offer free consultations. And the reason they do it is because most of our clients, they can't afford to pay out of pocket for a lawyer. Some lawyers will charge $700, $800, $900 an hour. But what I offer and what a lot of other personal injury lawyers offer is a free consultation and a contingency fee agreement, which allows you to get legal representation without having to come out of pocket for those costs up front. Talk to a legal professional right away. The benefit is this. One, I talked about doing the recorded statement. They can stop you from doing that and making a lot of mistakes that some people might not think is that big a deal up front. But there may be some things that need to be addressed right away, and a legal professional can identify these things and get them addressed ASAP. For instance, let's say there's a liability dispute. Do you know which makes and models and years of cars have what's called an event data recorder? It's the black box for the vehicle. And so if there's a dispute, a legal professional can look at the situation. I do this all the time. You look at it and you say, hey, do we need to go ahead and preserve that evidence right now? Because if we have an opportunity to do that, we can address the liability issue. Because sometimes people admit fault. They'll say, oh, I'm so sorry, it's my fault on scene. Police don't come out. They talk to their insurance companies, talk to friends, family, whoever it is. And now the story's changed. And you thought everything was good, but all of a sudden the other driver is saying, no, I'm not at fault. It's my word against yours. Well, if we have that EDR data, now all of a sudden we could take a look at it and we could tell who's at fault based on what the steering wheel was doing, how fast they were going, whether they were applying brakes. Is their story matching what the EDR data says? And so this is something we can jump on early, but you can't jump on it unless you know about it, and you can't jump on it unless you do it soon, because a lot of this EDR data, it gets wiped after a certain amount of time. And so you can't go get it from the vehicle. And this is just one thing. There's a lot of other issues you can address up front when you talk with a legal professional. They're there to protect your rights and make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible for you. And so I highly recommend seeking legal help right away. And by right away, I mean, hey, get yourself taken care of medically. And, later on that day or the next day, call an attorney. Give me a call. I'll help you out. So those are the 10 things to do and to not do if you've been in a car crash. We'll have more of these. The whole idea is let's educate you. Let's get you understanding what's going on. I'm back. If you ever stop by my office or put a comment in direct message us on Facebook or wherever this is, direct message us, and we'll send you one of these for free. This is a what to do when you've been in a car crash pamphlet. And it's really great because it walks you through everything. So if you look here, you can see what to do, get medical attention, call the police, exchange information. Basically the stuff I've been talking about today, it's all in this brochure. And what's even great is it gives you, if you can see this, we'll post it up there somewhere. It gives you an area, basically forms to fill out while you're on scene so you can make sure you collect all this information. It's a great pamphlet. It makes it real easy for you. Just throw it in your glove box. If you're in a crash, boom, it's right there. You don't have to remember anything I put in this video. Just look at the pamphlet and say, oh, I need to fill this stuff out. So yeah, if you want one, I will mail you one for free. I just want to make sure you'll have this information. So direct message us, give us your address. We'll send it to you and you'll be all set. Because again, the more you know, the better position you're going to be in. Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to take from that. I mean, typically, if you've fled the scene, it doesn't necessarily mean you're at fault, but it certainly gives the impression that you know you did something wrong and you're leaving because you don't want to get in trouble or you're scared about the consequences. If you did nothing wrong, typically those folks are going to want to stick around because they're going to want help. They're going to want to hold people responsible. And so fleeing the scene is just typically bad on that front, even after considering the fact that, hey, you need to be a good human and help people out. So those are kind of some basic things. Like, don't flee the scene.